Hey, best friends, Yok here. Greetings from 2040. I put my old face on so you wouldn't freak out. It's 20 years now since we first started doing it this way, part virtual. We still meet when we can, but most kinds of events mix the physical, the distributed, and the virtual pretty seamlessly. A lot of LARPs are also like that now. Actually, it's funny because we're literally coming up on 50 years since the first distributed LARPs where people were gathering in different countries to play different factions in the same story. So I guess this development was inevitable. As soon as we went digital, it's one of the first things that we ever tried. Here are some things that I missed from the 2010s. The naivete, the uncomplicated hope, being afraid of the wrong things. I'm really happy, though, that we spent that decade figuring out how we could apply what we had learned in LARP about culture design and inclusive participation to other sectors of the arts and civil society. So many of you worked in VR as the world was burning, and so many of you worked with organizing, activism, local government, and the world was better for it. The thing is, it turned out it's really important to be able to imagine other worlds, other lives, other situations. All that time that we spent pretending disaster and exploring the social dynamics of humans in crisis and practicing performing complex tasks together, that was actually good mental agility training for a world where different kinds of crises kind of became the norm. In retrospect, the most important consequence of radical inclusion, which I think we did for other reasons originally, that was access to designers and co-players and friends who had already lived hardship and inequality. The work became sharper and deeper and much more empathetic. And these co-designers could also tell us about how important escapism would become. I'm not going to lie, it's been an uncomfortable decade. The world capitalist hegemony is challenged. There are many alternative ways now of organizing humans, labor, satisfaction, desire, and value. But it's not gone. And a lot of resources are still controlled inside a capitalist system, which is really good at making itself sort of seem necessary and also compromising on the surface while fundamentally still profiteering off the poor and of ecological destruction. And a lot of us still work in that system in games and bids, often in really well paid positions, but with only really very marginal influence to change anything from the inside. And we've lost a lot of friendships, important friendships in our communities over this, even though I think a lot of those people who work in the system also quietly are funneling a lot of their private resources into helping others. I don't know what the right answer is. It's just, I'm telling you, this is going to be hard for myself. Oh, I, you know, I couldn't compromise. So I, I ended up in government. We have the most frustrating and the most amazing public sector now. On the federal levels, let's just say that the influence comes at the expense of efficiency. But local government, like regional and municipal levels, is really exciting now. From Palestine to Sapmi, California to Belarus, on the local level, democracy is fast, and there is a lot of manpower to put into human presence activities. Kids LARP never been bigger. EduLARP, just called simulations now, but it's completely ubiquitous. And like experiential digital media it's so long since it's broke through, so LARP design skills have become obviously useful to everybody. And I feel that it really has made civic participation easier and smoother. People just have higher expectations now for how a process or an experience works. Um, I am still a partner in an experience company on the side, though, and we did end up doing a lot of big IP work. Our well-known fantasy brand, which you'll know soon enough, I guess, which it's going to be, but you already know of it today. Yeah, it's in its 13th year in 4 locations. And by the way, it's still a terrible business. Like, it wouldn't work at all, except that now manpower is just cheaper, especially in countries where your base needs are guaranteed anyway. A lot of people will choose to do human-facing artistic work, and complaining like it's great to be in business and that work mostly pays for itself. Although I can tell you right now that building actual castles, especially in the US, good luck finding any affordable locations that don't regularly have either forest fires, flooding, or tornadoes. Yeah, so don't do that. Also, yeah, I mean, there have been other problems there. Yeah, we also sell LARPs in boxes still for people to run with their friends. Honestly, those were only ever profitable in the long tail. But in the last decade, the demand has scaled to a point where some of them can make enough money to cover the losses of the others. But it's a good way to make work available, good work from a lot of designers to be available to be played, you know, a lot around the world. Also to be copied, to distribute design ideas broadly. Still feels important. Personally, I'm only currently running one thing. I actually hadn't run anything for a long time. It felt, for me personally, almost like immoral to take that time from the public good. But then 3 years ago, most of the high-speed rail finally got in place, and it really was a game changer for what could be considered like a convenient commute. And I wanted for such a long time to do a small local campaign for mostly like old friends. So I do that now. It's monthly. It's incredibly unfashionable, but whatever. It's for my generation, so screw you. It involves three-piece suits and monocles and secret societies and witty banter at dinner tables and a really amazing occult ritual element. The thing is, just because we all know that there's special effects, it doesn't make it any less impressive. But I also built in a frame where the LARP has an element of couples dancing. We've actually become pretty good dancers now. We're almost 2 years in. But it's there because we're all old enough to carry a certain amount of unresolved grief that we could express, of course, but nobody wants to talk about that stuff when we're there to have fun. And I just wanted to put some quiet physical closeness in the LARP as a way of checking in with each other and being in those emotions to music without having to address them. Yeah. So yeah, if you're in your teens and 20s now, running LARPs is not so different from what running club nights or raves once was. There are reasonably accessible venues, people with great conceptual ideas. The support software for character generation and runtime management is just, it's so close, you guys. Keep going, you're on the right track. It is worth it, I promise. So yeah, apart from my own campaign, that's the kind of LARP I mostly play now. It's like truly local pseudo underground scene. The semi-virtual distributed blockbusters are really cool, but I've been recently starting to think about the last act of my life, and there are a lot of things I probably won't be able to do soon. And I'm kind of saving those experiences for isolation and immobility. Yeah. So I guess I just wanted to say, hey, don't stop designing. Always ask yourself why. Why am I doing this? What is this for? Strive to be better always. It's going to matter a lot. And ask yourself in the next 2 decades, every day, whether you're part of the problem or part of the solution. Be safe. Be brave.